Okay, so this is going to finish up this sequence of rebacking videos. Yesterday we did the new leather in the previous video. Now, one of the things that I was taught, which is another good habit to get into, is after you've done, like leather on a binding, you want to damp it out a little bit along the joint, and then on the inside where the turn-ins, where you can see the turn-ins, so that the leather doesn't crack. I mean, I've never had it happen, but I don't want to take a chance, especially where it's pared thin, where it comes over the board and down onto the inside of the boards. So I like to just take a little bit of water and then gently flex the joint open. I tend to alternate so that it kind of soaks in. And like I said in the previous videos, this stuff has a bit of a surface, but the water does seem to soak in a little bit. Okay, so I go back. Now I can start to kind of flex this open. When I get it about to here, I'm going to come back, damp the turn-ins in the joint. See that? Back over. If it resists, you want to stop and give it a little more time to soak or to humidify, which is a good way to think of this. Okay. And then you want to kind of press the board down into the joint as you open it up. All right, so there's that. It's a little damp, but I think we'll be okay. Let's get rid of this, get rid of this. Now it's a matter of laying stuff that's been lifted. I'm going to turn this around. I'm just going to use my big glue brush. It's a little sizable for this, but it'll work okay. If this were very fragile, where I couldn't bend it back as much, I probably use something more like a flat paint brush. But for this, I think we'll be okay. So I got my glue. Just going to bring this back. This is straight PVA. You could use paste or PVA paste mix also. A little excess there. At some point, once this dry, I'll open it up. Actually, you don't necessarily even have to open it up. If you want to, you can open it up and just press just the edge here. A lot of times I'll just throw the book in between pressing boards and give it maybe 3 minutes to kind of help everything consolidate. Okay, same thing on this side. I was thinking about this morning, and you want to press down. Heel of the hand is always a good place to work, a good tool, rather than kind of running along here and taking the risk of, kind of pushing something out of alignment. All right, so there are the sides. Then I can do the inner joints. For that, I have a pile of pressing boards. Oops, got an extra. So that I can throw my board back and have it supported. Could use an extra board here, but I don't. Oh, here we go. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so I want to lift up my paste down, see how far this joint comes over, because it's probably, in fact, it is kind of wide, so I'm going to trim it off. Better to make this overly wide at the beginning because if you come up short at this stage, you're in really a bit of a pickle. So make it longer, trim it if need be. Knife. Waste paper strip. Adhesive. Now, I like to get a little bit of adhesive. I mean, you're going to do it anyway, but onto the leather here, kind of size it a little bit. All right. Throw it away. Come up. Right there. Here we go. Make sure you get it, you pull it onto the board. And then make sure that it's firmly adhered to the edge of the cover board. And from here you can go right on and lay the paste down. Let's see if I can do this. Oh, that was good. Sorry about that. Getting a little antsy here toward the end. What's this? Okay, now you don't want to close this until the joint is dry, which makes things a little awkward. But what we can do is pull these out. This is where having a few masonite boards comes in really handy. I can just flip this over. Can you see? Yes. Put some pressing boards back. Now we can do the other side. Now this guy, as you can see, has lifted, which it's not supposed to be. So these are the vicissitudes of the work sometimes. One of the nice things about PVA is because it tacks fast and dries fast, you know, for little mends like this, it's really useful. And when I say mend, I mean when we flub up stuff. Couple of goomers here. I'll worry about that little flap later. I just want to get everything down right now. Okay, so while that's drying, I'm going to trim the original spine. You want to trim it so that it's shy of the edge of the spine. You don't want it to come all the way out to the shoulder, even though it kind of seems like it might be the way to go. Because if it comes all the way out to the edge of the spine, you're going to, when somebody picks the book up and they run their hand this way toward the spine, there's a chance they can catch it, and then things are not going to be happy. So it's better to make it a little narrower than a little wider. I'm just gonna, and the way that we do that is, again, trusty knife and a straight edge. How are we doing here? Okay. But I'm going to come maybe 1 millimeter shy of the edge of the spine. And I'm going to cut it, I'm going to make my cut at a very low angle, which kind of will give us an automatic bevel. I have to be a little careful. Mind your manners. Get rid of that blade. In fact, here you can see kind of the edge of the spine where it's worn a little bit. So I'm going to come inside that. I'm also going to do the same thing at the head and the tail. I'm going to come just to the inside of where the cap started. Okay, I've retained, all the tooling, so that's a good thing. All right, get rid of this stuff. And actually, by now, this is probably dry enough to close. Close, close. There we go. Always check to make sure that any label or original spine is right side up. I'm sure that if you're like me, you've done that once or twice. All right, now just for ease, I'm going to actually do this with paste. So let me paste out the spine. Yeah, there you can see that it's the spine, the original spine is narrower than the total width of the spine. I just want to check one thing over here. Okay. I actually did the other one earlier and I want to make sure the spines line up. Now, you may already know this little useful thing when doing rebacks like this where you want to retrain the original spine. Ta-da! Ace bandage. So I'm gonna do this. It actually goes easier if it's all rolled up, but I already used it once this morning, so. There we go. This seems like it's too long, but when you're working on a Victorian Bible, you need this extra length, trust me. Okay. Pressing board. Pressing board. Wait. Give this about 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, and take the bandage off. If you leave it too long, it might stick to places you don't want it to stick to. All right, so I'll put this aside. I'm going to come back with this one, which is the one that's already been prepped or done. And then the next to the last step is to do a little bit of toning of the scraped areas, and also just to kind of even out the color. Probably won't make a difference where it's lifted off here from the tape, but you know, it is what it is. Provenance, it's all provenance. So let me grab a glove. Due to, well, just circumstances, plus it's something I've used in the past, I tend to use Phoebe's leather dyes, which have a kind of a mixed reputation, I know, but it is what it is. I have it. It's easy to, you know, it's easy to get. I've never had a lot of trouble with it. So first I'm just going to take a little bit of black. A lot of black, more black than I need. I'm going to cut it with alcohol. I'm really just looking for, I don't know if you want to say that it's a stain, but then I'm going to have a little bit of, well, actually, you can either do it with cotton or you can do it with a brush. You also need a paper towel, which you're going to wipe things off immediately. Where'd you go? I had a brush, I put it away, and now I can't find it. I'm going to use something that I probably shouldn't use, but it'll give me a little more, it'll work a little faster. A little Japanese brush. I'll clean it out afterwards. So I'm just going to start here on the edges and immediately wipe it off. Not sure how much this is going to make a difference here on the... I'm not super concerned about this. I'm really more concerned about the spine. Those chewed areas are in the cloth, so I'm not going to mess with them. All right, now here's where it really kind of shows. If you wipe it off immediately, the dye won't take in the areas that aren't scuffed. And as you can see, it also really pops the gold out. And a little bit here. Okay, we'll give that a minute to dry, and then I will add some leather dressing, and that'll be it. Okay, so I'll put this aside. I'm going to put it, actually I'm going to grab, no I'm not, okay. Now, leather dressing is another one of those little vexed things. Nobody's happy with what we've got, and so we have to kind of make do. This is SC6000, which has become kind of the default. I don't have a problem with it, but you know, it's got an acrylic component to it, which can be problematical. But the one thing that putting a coat of leather dressing does, especially on a repaired book, a conserved book, is it kind of ties it all together optically. I'm not sure why. But that's been my experience. One thing about the SC6000 dry is it dries really quickly. So by the time you've applied it, you can come back, sticky, and polish off. Pretend you didn't see that. I'm going to put a little PVA under there later. Oops. One last thing, actually, that I forgot, which I also, again, it's something that I like to do just because I think it ties things together, is if I have a new end band, I tone it, again, with just a little bit. Where to put it? Okay. Sorry, not as organized as I had intended to be. Pardon the course. Don't need much of this. All right, so this is a little bit of brown dye, alcohol. If you want it to look even dirtier, you add a drop of black. I don't think it's necessary here. Take another brush. And just age the headband. One of the things that will really, you'll start to notice is when you've done work like this, if there's anything that looks particularly new, it's going to pop you in the eye. So on, older books, I tend to use, again, a very thin wash of brown, or brown with a tiny bit of black. And actually put that on the gold to take away some of the brightness. And it really makes a big difference. It makes, an older book look like an older book and not an older book that's been fixed, in the last week and the gold on the spine hits you in the eye. Okay, so that's that. That's a fairly standard leather reback, overcast cloth joint, new rolled end bands. I hope you got something out of all this verbiage and time. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to, to post them. And the next video is going to be something a little different, I think. So it won't be quite so technical, or if it's going to be technical, it'll be technical in a different way, and that's all I can say right now. So thanks again for coming. Thanks for viewing the videos that I've, posted so far. I appreciate the fact that people are, that you guys are looking at this stuff. And I will be back. Thanks again, and take care.